Hey guys, we're going to talk about the Nitecore SRT9. Interesting light. I actually kind of like this. I saw Living Survival's review of this and I was kind of like, ooh, I like that. So when it showed up on GearBest, of course I jumped on it to get it. And we're going to talk about this bad boy. So interesting light with a lot of stuff packed into one, flashlight. So this is an XHP50, which is a higher voltage LED. So it's going to require multiple batteries, and this is a 2 18650 battery, and it has multiple other colored lights as well that you're going to see. So we're going to talk. This thing uses, as I said, 2 18650s, or it can take 4 CR123s. Now, because this is hooked up in serial, you do have to use both batteries. You can't get away with just one on account of the XHP50 being higher voltage. So you can see your modes here. And you're talking 2,000 lumens for an hour down to, focus, 3 lumens for, you're talking like two days there. So yeah. So, oh, I'm sorry, that's the blue. 250 hours on the ultra low. So quite a difference, you're talking many days of running this on the low. So, all right. So we've talked about that. Let's talk about how simple and easy this flashlight is to use. And focus again. So what we have is a clicky on the back, which turns the light on and off. And it's rubber boot, all that kind of protected by these tongs here. And you have a slide ring control. So we're actually going to start there. And I know this is turbo. So how this works is you can adjust according to what you want. Now we're going to go over to strobe, which is one click over, and you can see you have a nice kind of variable strobe there. Alright, then you have your high, and then it is a ramping down to low until it eventually even turns off. But you can do very low, and you can adjust this infinitely, which is kind of cool. Your next set is going to be your ultra, or I'm thinking black light. Yeah, this is a small kind of low power black light, handy for a couple things, One of the things that this is very handy for, guys, is checking your hunting clothing. If your clothing glows under this light, then deer can see it. Very handy thing to have. Your red, which is kind of a weird globby, because it comes on a side LED, but it's okay. Green, blue, and your police mode. Now bear in mind, guys, this may be illegal in some jurisdictions, so if there are laws about having red and blue flashing lights, you might not want to flash this in front of the police. So yeah, simple, easy to use. Alright, momentary as well. It does have momentary. Oh, I missed a mode. At the very end is beacon. Very important if you're using this as a hunting light or anything like that to have a beacon. They last a really long time, and it is very noticeable in the dark. So I find that very handy. So bring that back up. All right, so you open it up by pushing in these 2 clips, and then the tail pops out. You can see it has some interesting, kind of high textured knurling here. And your head has some cooling fins built into it, a non-crenulated stainless steel bezel, nice clear glass. There's a little reflection on there, but overall that's a very good, very high quality clear glass. You can see it's a very highly textured reflector as well around that XHP50. Pocket clip is completely and totally rubbish. The only thing it's really good for would be clipping it onto webbing or something like that. It's nothing you can really use in a pocket or anything. I really wish, why would you do that? It's just kind of stupid, it's really almost useless. So yeah. Alright, now I've lugged this thing around in my coat pocket since I've had it a couple of weeks, and only problem I had, one time the tail cap popped off, and because it is kind of spring loaded, you can see what happened there. So that could be potentially an issue for you guys, and if you were to have that happen. And the thing I think happened with mine is I think it happened one at a time. You have to push those to get it back on. So what I think happened is I think it was in my pocket, and I think that happened. And of course, it'll still work like that. So I probably didn't notice, and I think when the other one got pushed in, it and flung it. So not the best design for a tail cap at all, especially seeing these two buttons are very, kind of proud. They're very easy to push in. So kind of annoying there. Plus the tail cap is has a polarity to it, so you have to make sure you put it back on the right way. If you were trying to do this in the dark or wet or dirty or something like that, it could be a real pain in the neck. So I think that's a negative for this light. One of the big negatives is that tail cap design. I really am not a fan of that, especially seeing it popped off in my pocket. I mean, it took a couple of weeks for it to happen, but, who needs that when you need a light, But as far as it being in a backpack and not seeing daily bumping around, it'll probably be fine, It's just something to be aware of. All right. So, we're going to see, obviously, some footage cut in of this being used. It's got a pretty nice little beam to it. It's a pretty powerful light at 2,000 lumens. That's a pretty, powerful light. This isn't a long-distance thrower. This is more of an up-close and personal sort of light. As you can see from the beam, there really isn't that intense of a hot spot. The hot spot's very diffused. So distance on this is not going to be a really long thrower, so kind of an up-close personal light. I think this would make a very good car light, an emergency light, something to put in your vehicle in the event that something happens. That red and blue flashing is a great way to signal help. People see that, a cop sees that, they're going to look, It may be illegal, but, if life or death, who gives a crap if you get a ticket, But I think some of the modes, the red, green, blue, I don't know how much I would use them. I'd probably be a little more pertinent to people who are using it as a dedicated hunting light. But like I said, that black light is also kind of good because you can use it to check your clothing. Say you're going to a hotel room or something like that. Oh, we got an intruder in the studio, guys. She loves just coming in and messing with the tripod when I'm trying to do this stuff, guys. Kids. Yeah, that black light, you're staying in the hotel, something like that. Very handy thing to see what you're going to be laying in at night. But yeah, I like it because I go through it. I use it right away to check my hunting clothing. As I mentioned before, the hunting clothing, anything, some laundry detergents have UV brighteners in them, and deer are very susceptible to UV light. So if you use a laundry detergent with UV brighteners, it will glow in a dark light, and the deer can see you. You're like a friggin' torch in the woods. So kind of a cool tool to have as far as hunting and all that. And but yeah, I think this will make a very good car emergency light. I think it'll make a pretty good hunting light. Not an EDC. I wouldn't recommend this for a security guard. I think the the interface is a little goofy for a security guard, having to worry about that ring and where it is. Now the cool thing is once you get to know the ring interface, I can reach into my pocket and I know this is strobe. And that's turbo, and that's the ramping. Then you got your black light, red, green, blue, and all that. So being I know the modes, I can know that this is turbo. I'm sorry, this is strobe. This is turbo. I mean, I know. So it's kind of cool because you can change that in your pocket. Something's coming up, you don't like the looks of someone, bam, you can switch that over to strobe in a heartbeat without even pulling the flashlight out, worrying about triple, double clicks, all that jazz. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff with this light. Like I said, I think that the big flaws are it's kind of a pointless pocket clip. It's probably going to get removed after this review is done, and that tail cap is not a very good design. It's just too much. That's too proud and too easy to pop those loose as far as I'm concerned. But if this were in your console in your car, that's not going to be a concern. No rechargeability function here. You're going to be having two 18650s invested in this, or 4 CR123s, and yeah, so I like it. I saw Living Survival's review, and I thought this was a pretty cool idea, and so I kind of rushed to grab one because it's really not catching on a lot, but it is kind of a cool light that has a lot of different ways you can use it, and it's not too horrible. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not going to kill the bank. For an XHP 50 light, this is fairly reasonable within the market, considering you add all this extra to it. But yeah, overall, I think this is not a bad little thing for the money, and I think this is definitely going to fit a lot of people's needs. Like I said, it's not going to be for the security guy, law enforcement kind of people, but I think as a hunting light, as a car vehicle, emergency light, a lot of good options with this guy.